Yeah, welcome back to another episode of the Format Podcast. Got a pretty interesting show for you here today. This one might be a little shorter than they usually are. Only got two topics today. My man G's not going to be with us. He's got some things going on, but I have got a great guest joining us. It's former University of North Florida Osprey, former Atlantic Sun Defensive Player of the Year, all-time UNF shot blocking leader, and former professional basketball player, Alwa Gitaminu. So we're going to talk, and he's going to give us some thoughts that you can't get anywhere else. So just hang with me. But before we get to all that, you know what time it is. If you're here on YouTube and you haven't already, please make sure you go ahead, click that like, that subscribe, that notification bell. Make sure you're kept up to date whenever we drop new content on the channel. If you want the audio-only version of the podcast, open up your audio podcast platform, hit the search bar, type in The Format Podcast, and we should come right up. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you give us that like, that 5-star review, and drop a comment. All that stuff helps us rise in the algorithm, helps us find more sports fans, helps more sports fans find us. And finally, make sure you write it down, put it in your phone, set an alarm, do whatever you got to do to remember. Saturday nights at 7 p.m. we are live here on the Format Podcast, and we'll give you the opportunity to call in, talk to us, get at me. I love it. I can't wait. All right, so this was something I thought was really interesting, and I definitely wanted to get your opinion on this. So the other day, maybe yesterday, I was going through doing some research and stuff for the show, and something came across my timeline, and it was an article in which Ron Harper, who he was a problem early on as he's shooting guard for the Cleveland Cavaliers and then Los Angeles Clippers, and then he blew out his knee. And after that, robbed of a lot of his athleticism, but he ended up going and playing and I believe three-peating with the Bulls, the second three-peat, Ron Harper. And so in 1996, after Bulls beat the Sonics, that was his first championship. And so this was an article, and I'm going to read a quote from it. I thought this was really interesting. He says, quote, this is Ron Harper talking, quote, "We were in the locker room after celebrating, and I told Michael, hey, that's my first championship. I'm done. He said, you're done? Nah, this is my fourth championship ring. We have to win 2 more. I need to have 1 more ring than Magic," unquote. Now, Michael Jordan came in the league in 1984, and by that time, Larry Bird had just won his second championship. Magic had, I believe, 2 championships already, two championships already. And so those guys were running the league, and Michael Jordan came in like a house on fire, averaged 28 a game as a rookie of the year. By 1990, he had already had a couple of MVPs. He had a defensive player of the year multiple time, all defensive first team, blah, blah, blah. You all know the stats on Michael Jordan. Anyway, Michael Jordan goes on to become the guy that most people think is the greatest player of all time. But what happens is this, right? Moving forward, we have a guy like LeBron James who has had one of the most incredible careers in the history of the NBA. And LeBron James, from myself and from others, kind of often bears the brunt as being the face of the league for the last 10 to 15 years for the condition of the modern NBA game. But here's where I'm going to go ahead and digress a little bit. I was thinking about this whole thing, and it made me wonder after reading that article, is Michael Jordan the one who's really responsible for the current state of the National Basketball Association, not LeBron? And I'm going to give you my thoughts on that, and then I'm going to get your thoughts, Al. So the reason I said, let me think about this. So the first thing was that Ron Harper quote when Michael Jordan says, this is my 4th championship ring. We have to win 2 more. I need to have 1 more ring than Magic. Now, you can look at that 2 ways. You can look at it as that was the beginning of the ring culture in terms of grading guys' greatness on championships and how many they have accrued. Or you can say Michael was just, I mean, as we know, he's the most psychomaniacal competitive in everything. I've heard the story, I think it was in The Last Dance, about him like flipping quarters in the locker room with the security guy. He was crazy in that. When he was in the Dream Team, David Robinson tells this story. He wanted to bet guys on the Dream Team about whose luggage would come out from under the plane first, right? But here's the wild thing. It was later found out that he wanted to bet guys whose luggage would come out first, but if he got you to bet, he would go and pay the bag person to bring his luggage out first. Like that's how crazy this dude was about competing when it came to everything, right? A lot of people don't know Michael Jordan, obviously he didn't win it, but he competed in the 3-point shootout. at All-Star Weekend. He obviously competed, I think, 2 or 3 times in the dunk contest. They asked him why he did that, because he wanted to show everyone that he was better than them at everything. So I bring all this up to say, the guy was crazy competitive. So we can look at it that way, or we can say that was the start of the ring chasing culture, because Bill Russell is the greatest winner we've ever seen. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar also has 6 championships, but nobody ever really talks about the number of championships either of those guys have. They just talk about the totality of their career. So often Michael Jordan gets boiled down to 6 for 6 in the finals and 6 finals MVPs, which is, we know, phenomenal, because it also includes 2 three-peats, right? Which insane, right? He goes, plays a completely different sport, comes back and dominates again, right? But again, I think it's crazy because that is the start of chasing championships, and championships being, unfortunately, the be-all end-all of how you are regarded as a player. And I don't know if he intended to do that, but it seems like that might have been the start. Also, we look at Michael Jordan and we say, okay, he's the primary reason that hand checking is gone. He hated it when Derek Harper would hand check him. They used to say Derek Harper had a hand check like a vice grip, and he was super strong and he could move you wherever he wanted you to go. And Mike really used to complain about that. They took the hand check away. We also see that Michael Jordan is not arguably, he is the greatest isolation player in the history of the game. You got Mike, and then probably closely behind him is Kobe, and you got your D Wades and James Hardens and your McGrady's, and now Kyrie and Allen Iverson, all these guys, right? But Michael Jordan was without question the greatest ISO player, and he kind of gave birth to a whole next generation of elite ISO players, kind of getting away from the team ball, right? Obviously, Michael Jordan at his best played in the triangle, but still, when in doubt, get the ball to Mike and kind of move out of the way. So all these things, I think, are so interesting, and they may have led to LeBron feeling all that pressure and being, I'm not going to say forced, but feeling all that pressure, and then moving to, the super team era, right? And we remember that.
We also know you 3 kings came down here to win championships. Not 1, championships.
Not 2.
LeBron, tell us about that.
Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7.
So clearly he got a little carried away there, right? He was, super excited. But the point is, a lot of people, myself included, really get on LeBron for ushering in the super team era. And of course, he would say super teams have always existed, and they did, but they were organization created, not player created. And I will go to my grave saying that's 2 different things, and it's not the same. But okay, I've been yapping for a while. What are your thoughts on my take that maybe Michael Jordan is responsible for the current state of the NBA?
Yeah, so I mean, I will say it's definitely a byproduct of Michael Jordan. I think the story that's been developed, I mean, especially everybody looking at The Last Dance, and you just see like the storybook kind of career that Michael Jordan had, like just he was presented with a challenge, and then he overcame it. He presented with the challenge, and then he overcame it, and he just kind of kept pushing that agenda. And he's like, I'm going for more. I'm going for more. I'm going for more. And I think, of course, everybody wants to win, but I think, you started to see that, and you're just like, man, like, this dude is special. There are people that have that idea of they want to push for more, but it's just not a possibility. Like it's just,
Okay.
like not everybody can say that and want to do that. And so I think because of his career and because of how worldwide loved he was, you see the Jordan brand worth billions of dollars. Just like the entire lifestyle, everything that was associated with Michael Jordan. He had a few things that were, kind of got a little bit of bad press, but outside of that, I mean, just absolutely loved, absolutely everywhere around the world. Like
I mean, check it out. He was probably the second most famous person in the world after Michael Jackson. And this is before the internet.
Yep.
That's absurd.
Exactly. And so with that, people look at that and they're like, yeah, they made a movie. I want to be like Mike. You know what I'm saying? Like, who doesn't want to be like Mike? I want to be like Mike. Like, I definitely, wish I could have, done those types of things and, try to put myself in that position. Like, everybody definitely, it was created by a byproduct of what he did, because it was just so amazing that media kind of grabbed in on this and they were like, wow, this was really amazing. Like, we have to treasure this. We have to see this as special. We have to talk about how amazing that was and the love and everything that he got. It was just incredible. And so I think, a bunch of players, they just kind of saw that and they were like, man, like, I want to be some version of that. Like, I want to get the same glory that Michael Jordan had. And so I think, like, that was kind of created where you saw, some of the best players, they were like, you know what? I'm not just trying to be a really good player, that gets paid a lot of money. I want to be like Mike. Like, I want to be cemented in legacy, statues, absolutely everything. And I think you kind of see, LeBron, he pushed for that. He didn't just, take his MVPs and then, possibly just get one championship. He was like, nah, like, I gotta push that agenda where you see me as the face of the league. And I think it's kind of that face of the league, like, everybody's kind of trying to go towards that. And it's definitely a byproduct of Mike, but it's not like he was just like, oh, I want the NBA to look like this. It was just all the fanfare around him. It's like, how could you not want that?
No, I hear you, and that's a great assessment. All of that. I'm just looking at it now, and I'm thinking like, I'm thinking like, this is an odd situation because for all of this was something that I'm really forced to really seriously reevaluate. For all of my thoughts about how much the NBA, for how talented the players are currently, how much the level of play has dissipated, and how much the sport itself is not nearly as competitive as it once was, I really have to sit back and say, how much blame, to our discussion right now, does Michael Jordan really have for this? And that's tough, because especially when you're someone who grew up, you didn't, but I did. I grew up in that Michael Jordan era, and he is clearly, in my estimation and the estimation of many current players, the greatest of all time. And I say that not, assuming, but last year The Athletic did a survey and 58% of current NBA players still have Michael Jordan as the greatest player of all time. I think followed by LeBron at like 33%. So the point I'm trying to make is, as great as Michael Jordan is, there really may be some legitimate concern about the role that he played. And I think because of, like you said, be like Mike, and how dominant he was as a player in terms of the winning, and completely, when he hit his peak and he hit the mountaintop, shutting down so many other all-time greats from getting a championship, Stockton and Malone, and obviously Gary Payton and Shawn Kemp, and Olajuwon got the 2 chips while Jordan was out, and Drexler got his championship with Dream while Jordan was out, and so Charles Barkley, a lot of guys who are Hall of Famers and all-time greats, not only at their position but in the game period, guys who did not and could not win because Michael Jordan simply would not let them. And so, with all of that, I think maybe all of that does some protection of him in terms of maybe the harm that his elite play and his dominance could have done to the game. And now we're seeing so much more of that because, again, to your point, LeBron realized, hey, I got to do what I got to do now. And now I'm not one for the way that he went about it. I personally think that that was skirting competition, and it made it cool for other guys to skirt competition. See Kevin Durant with the Warriors, right? But I don't have a whole lot of respect for that. I think if you're a player of that ilk and you're an all-time great that way, you should want to go at dudes joining up. Nah, but again, different era and just a different situation entirely. But this whole thing really makes me sit back and reassess and wonder, how much blame does Michael Jordan have to shoulder for the current condition of the game?
Well, like I said, I feel like, in my estimation, it used to be, before Jordan, the Showtime Lakers. It was the Boston Celtics. They had teams where, like, they just had this standard of teams being followed. And then, now you got, after Michael Jordan, players a little bit more starting to be followed. And then, I mean, of course, with the advent of social media, like, you really have players individually being followed. Like people have favorite teams, but it is usually centered more now around who their favorite player is and what team they're currently on. And so that's kind of, the team aspect has really gone away, and it is 100% more player led. And because people have their own individual brands, and they're, had the potential of being multi-billionaires from, kind of maneuvering the system of the NBA of stardom there well enough. Like, it's ridiculous, like, I'm trying to think, like a dude like Trae Young, he's special. Like, his game is really nice. I like him, but he's not, an all-time great. He's not, I mean, I think he's absolutely special. Like, I love his game for his size. I mean, he's incredible. Like, I really like his game, but yeah, I don't think anybody's pushing for him to be in an all-time great category. But he's built this brand about himself because of how good he is. He's a star in the NBA, and I don't think he'll reach the billionaire status, but like he very well could do that. And it's kind of insane because they have so valued the individual that it's like, man, like, I am starting to more see this as individual instead of team. And so I mean, that's definitely where you're starting to see, that's that modern NBA of this individual is over everything. And I mean, that's a huge huge issue, like people jacking up shots because they want to have them be the guy and make all the money and stuff like that.
That's right.
It was actually one of the things that I was worried about with college sports and the NIL deals. Is college sports, you still saw that, like, team, like, it's team. But now with NIL deals, it's starting to become more individual. And there's that beauty of, following a team and, like, seeing a team come together and putting team above self. But I mean, it
could be argued that in college, all these programs don't put team above self, right? All these programs and you played, so these programs make a lot of money off of these athletes, and so I'm 50-50 on it. That's a whole different discussion, but
definitely,
I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, but I mean, it's definitely very interesting to say that Michael Jordan definitely did he had a good amount of blame to where the NBA is now. But I mean, I would say probably the highest blame is media, and even more now social media. Like, it's gotten crazy. And it's interesting because you see some new things that are very interesting about basketball. I do feel like it's definitely become more entertainment than
Absolutely.
just basketball
Hmm.
now.
I actually heard Gilbert Arenas say that on his show, that it's entertainment, and so I think that it's always been entertainment. For instance, Magic was the ultimate showman, right? We know that. But he also was like, he was another one that was a crazy competitor, really trying to beat your head in and win even when he was smiling, So I think if you are the player, you can find the balance between entertainment but still being a competitor. And I'm just wondering, like, where has that gone?
Um, I mean, I think there's only one team that wins the championship each year, and there's only one player that's considered the best player on the championship team.
Hmm.
And so, are you the chances of a star, being able to be in that position is not it's not that likely. There's only one team. There's only one player that's going to be considered
Hmm.
the best on a championship team. So it's like you're fighting for that, but you realize, hey, that's really not as likely as me making the most out of what I currently have. And so you see the competitor, but you also like, hey, I can make a really nice situation for myself if I go this route instead of being the ultimate competitor, the ultimate, and you don't even really have to be ultimate team player, but like, really driving the team to a certain level. And I think that's why you have seen, more international players being the best team, being the best player on championship teams, because they appreciate some fanfare, but it's really like, I mean, you see how hard Giannis goes for everything.
Hmm.
Is
Yeah.
like for him is like that's it's like he doesn't have any food and that's his lunch. Like
Right.
he
Yeah.
goes for it, and
Right.
like that's what he's interested in. Like
Hmm.
Jokic, you see him, I mean, it's crazy because the way he moves, like he's not like the most athletic guy, but he
Right.
goes for it. Like
Hmm.
he pushes himself,
Hmm.
every single game and anything like that. And the international players seem to get it a little bit more that, hey, they really want to push for it. And I mean, yeah, all this fanfare is nice, but championship is what I'm going for.
Hmm. Hmm. All right. Well, listen, Al-Wajid, man, thanks so much for joining us today. We're going to go ahead and call it here. Like I said at the beginning, this was a short one. Only had the two topics, and don't have a huge number of people in the chat. By the way, if you're in the chat, thank you for showing up. I appreciate that. Make sure you click that like on the way out. All that stuff definitely helps us. So make sure you click that. And yeah, we're going to come back. Obviously, there will be more episodes during the week of the show, and there will be another live next Saturday night. So I'm going to go ahead and get off here and let you guys go ahead and check out the NCAA tournament. Matter of fact, I think Caitlin Clark's getting ready to play here on the women's side, and then
We played earlier.
oh yes, yeah, 29 and
Mhm.
15. That's right, I missed that. I'm running around with the family, but I know. Oh no, Juju Watkins is getting ready to play. So that's
Yeah,
another one that's a problem, and she's just a
she's
freshman.
special.
Yeah,
She's special.
very, absolutely. And then of course, I think we've got UConn and Illinois tonight also. So definitely gonna be some flipping back and forth. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy the rest of watching some sports tonight. If you're celebrating Easter tomorrow, happy Easter. If you are one of my Muslim brothers and sisters celebrating Ramadan Kareem. And if you are one of my Jewish brothers and sisters who have just finished Passover a few days ago, I hope you had a wonderful, healthy, and happy Passover. So enjoy all that. And I'll be back with you next episode. Again, Al-Wajid, thanks so much. And I'm out.
Absolutely.
Peace.
Peace.